Hey Fantasy Slackers, welcome to week 3. There's some injury updates that you need to be aware of. Dalvin Cook is going to be officially out this week, as well as some like Marlon Mack and some other big name players. So check the injury reports to see if they're going to be playing or not. Who gets our gravy? Who gets the biscuit? Who do we want and don't want? Coming right up. Welcome to week 3 again. Let's just jump right into it. For our player that gets the biscuit this week, that has to go to Patrick Mahomes. He's been trying for it the last 2 weeks, but he's been outdone by FITZMAGIC, that crazy guy. But this time he really outdid himself last week. Threw for 6 touchdowns, 326 yards. He ran for a few yards as well. Can he sustain this type of production? I don't know. But with Andy Reid at the helm, he seems unstoppable when he has the ball in his hand. He's not afraid to take risks. He chucks it down. And, we look forward to seeing what he's going to be doing this week. So he gets our biscuit this week. And for our player that gets the gravy, those that didn't quite get the biscuit, but, still put up manageable fantasy points or top fantasy points of their position that week. My players this week were, for running back, I've got Todd Gurley. He didn't run for a whole lot of yards, but it's the touchdowns that really put him ahead. He ran for 42 yards. He had 31 receiving yards, and he also caught a 2-point conversion. For my wide receiver, it is Stephon Diggs. At the end of that game, he was phenomenal. But he put up 128 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. For my tight end, that's Travis Kelce. He caught 109 yards and also 2 touchdowns. For my kicker, Mason Crosby, hitting 5 field goals and then 2 extra points. And for my defense, that would be Chicago. Man, with Mac on their team, it really made a huge difference. They weren't kidding saying that he's one of the best, if not the best, defensive player in the league. For the players that I want to call home, ring that dinner bell for.
Come and get it! Come and get it, dinner!
For my QB, I'm going Ryan Fitzpatrick or FITZMAGIC or whatever you want to call him. He's showed himself for the last 2 weeks that he can put up big numbers. One against a so-so defense and the other one against a really good defense. And now, has the opportunity to do it again. So why not? If you don't have one of the top tier guys and you want to take a risk on him, take a chance on Ryan Fitzpatrick. He put up great numbers the last 2 weeks, and there's no reason why he can't do it again. The offensive line has been doing really well. The receivers have really been, showing off for him and catching these balls and runs after the catch. So, if you have him, plug him in, play him. And for my running back, I've got David Johnson. And I usually say we don't put elite players in these column home segments, but David Johnson has not been elite for the first 2 weeks, and that's partially because their team has, they suck. So they're just not doing very well. The quarterback play, the offensive line play, everything's just not going well for them. They get behind early, so they turn away from running the ball, which has hurt David Johnson's numbers. But I see that he's bouncing back this week. Yeah, they're playing Chicago. I know they're playing Chicago. I understand that. But they're going to find ways to get him in the end zone, whether through screens or through running the ball. They're going to give him a lot of touches this week. And I expect him to at least have quite a significant bump in his numbers, especially over the last 2 weeks. Maybe get 1 or 2 touchdowns in. That's what I'm hoping. He's in my lineup. I want to play him each week, but the last 2 weeks he's not been very good. So this is more of a hopeful pick for me. For my wide receiver, I've got Odell Beckham. Same with him. The first 2 weeks he hasn't been the show-off type. He hasn't put up massive numbers, but as soon as they get that offensive line figured out, and as soon as Saquon Barkley gets going, I see Odell Beckham going off, and I see it this week against Dallas. Dallas's defense is okay, but I see that they always play each other really hard, and especially entered division rivals. So I see Odell Beckham getting, a lot more catches this week and hopefully some touchdowns. And for my tight end, I've got Jared Cook. They've got to figure out what they're doing on offense for Oakland Raiders. But you saw whenever they had to pass the ball, Derek Carr went to Jared Cook a lot. He racked up 180 yards that one game. So he's definitely the safety blanket. They're going to try to cover Amari Cooper. And then, you've got Jordy Nelson. I think Jared Cook's going to have a really good game this week. So look for him to put up big numbers. And for my kicker, I'm going to go with a guy that was hot last week, Mason Crosby. They're going up against a tough Washington defense. I know Aaron Rodgers isn't 100%, but even when he's not 100%, he's still really good. But I see them being able to move the ball, but not being able to finish, because he doesn't have that mobility like he's used to. So Mason Crosby going to have a lot of opportunities to kick field goals. I see that he's going to do it again this week. For my defense, I want to call home Minnesota. They're playing against Buffalo. They have improved a little bit with their rookie at the helm, but they're still not very good. I almost put Chicago on here. I really wanted to put Chicago or Minnesota would be both great fits here, but I've got Minnesota in my lineup. For my players that I don't want, I want to get out of my house, get out of my lineup. That player today is going to be Blaine Gabbert.
And I said, get away from here. Get.
Playing up against a really tough Jacksonville Jaguars defense. I know Jalen Ramsey was injured. He's questionable. I don't know if he's ruled out or not at this point. But there's still such a terrifying defense to go against. And since he's a backup, Blaine Gabbert has some experience, playing as a starter, but going up against that defense, I don't see them doing very well. I don't see him doing very well, so I don't want him in my lineup this week. If you've got Tennessee quarterback, whether it's team quarterbacks or not, do not play them this week. And I'd probably do the same for Arizona quarterbacks and Buffalo quarterbacks. So if you have any of those, it must have been a difficult draft for you, but do not play those guys this week. And now for our that's crazy projections. You know what? I'm going to go for a hat trick hero this week. I called it last week whenever with Ryan Fitzpatrick to do it again. He did it again. So, just out of pure curiosity, I want to give him the hat trick. So I'm calling him out for another 400-yard game at 3 touchdowns. It'd be phenomenal if he did it 3 weeks in a row. So I'm hoping for the hat trick. That's my crazy projection this week. Please do it. Ultimately, we want to know what you think. What do you think your crazy projections should be? Who do you want in your lineup? Who do you not want in your lineup? Tell us in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you're new here and you want to get these shows each week, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon, and that way you won't miss a episode each week. I want to say thanks for watching or listening, depending on what you're doing. We'll leave you with our projections from the other guys. Thanks for watching.